Hello everyone, and welcome to some more horrific news. Alright, it looks like we've got an update on Nosferatu with an interview with Bill Skarsgård, so let's take a look. Bill Skarsgård on remaking Nosferatu and the pressure of fucking with a masterpiece. I've always been a very happy monster, so said Boris Karloff in 1962, looking back at the 3 decades of creatures, ghouls and killers that defined so much of his life on screen. Bill Skarsgård hasn't been at it nearly as long, but his tendency to play supernatural and terrifying figures suggests that, like his fiendish predecessor, he's made peace with monstrosity. The blockbusters It and It Chapter 2 made him a horror icon as Pennywise the Dancing Clown, carrying on a long tradition in his Swedish acting family, which includes his father Stellan and older brothers Alexander and Gustav, of playing haunting roles in hair-raising films. Since Pennywise, Bill has specialised in sinister, scene-stealing parts, from a high society sociopath in John Wick Chapter 4 to his recent turn as the otherworldly avenger of this year's reboot of The Crow. His latest turn finds him playing the vampiric title character in Nosferatu from the Witch and The Lighthouse filmmaker Robert Eggers, in a collaboration that brings an ominous new approach to the bat-faced antagonist of the 1922 silent film. For Vanity Fair's 2025 Hollywood issue, he talked about touching the void and more. So this is a interview piece, so I'll just read out the question and answers as if it was just a normal narrated opinion article, and hopefully it all makes sense. Vanity Fair. We spoke years ago when you were about to start filming It, and you talked about the challenge of inhabiting an inhuman monster. Bill Skarsgård. That was the first time, and it wouldn't be the last time, that I was taking this kind of iconic character that had been done before so well, and the people love and cherish. The whole journey of that was so weird. If I spoke to you after the production, I wouldn't have been much more confident that we had something that was very special. But in the process of it, I was like, why did he cast me? I can't do this. We did speak again afterward. You talked about going home to your parents' house after you finished shooting and being plagued by dreams about the character. Those dreams were so strange. Either I was confronting Pennywise and I was upset with him, yelling at him, or I was Pennywise, but I was walking around in the streets that I grew up on, and I'm like, no, I shouldn't be out here in public walking around like this. This is not how it's supposed to be done. It was this weird thing where I was trying to separate myself from this thing, literally back to the place that I grew up in the same apartment that I grew up in. Count Orlok in Nosferatu also emerges from deep dark places. What was it like for you to take that particular emotional ice bath? Count Orlok was very different than Pennywise in a lot of ways. Orlok was even further away from who I am than Pennywise was, in the sense that my voice, posture, age, the look of it was just so far out there. That became the challenge. Before putting on the prosthetics, we explored so many weird things, and into Buto, this sort of Japanese corpse dancing, we explored so many trippy things. Did you say corpse dancing? Yeah, Buto is this Japanese corpse dance. It's all these kind of mummified movement patterns. It's spectacular. It brought this much more precise and much more rigid and slow movement. Basically the outfit and the prosthetics helped so much. The voice was what I worked the hardest on. I worked with an opera singer. She tried to get it as low as possible. My brother Gustav came to set when we were shooting. He's sitting there and he gets the headphones on and he hears deep growling sounds and is like, what the fuck's going on? It must have seemed very insane. Since you come from an acting family, I wonder what role your dad and your brothers play in your decision-making process or in your professional life. I don't talk to them in the sense of like, hey, do you think I should do this thing or that thing? Of course, subconsciously, they're such a big part of my life. It's hard to quantify how much effort they've had in terms of my taste or in terms of performances. It's great to have their support, more so in life in general than acting itself. It's nice to be able to talk to your family, just going like, oh, this shoot was a nightmare because of this, and this, and this. And they're like, oh yeah, totally, tell me about it. The job, the profession of acting, can feel kind of lonely sometimes. It just feels nice to have so many people, close people around you that truly know what it's like. Especially after Nosferatu, people are going to look at your work and see a lot of monsters and a lot of dark figures. Why do you think you've been drawn to these characters? I think those characters are drawn to me as much as I'm drawn to them. It's a mutual kind of attraction. The fact that they're drawn towards me is a bunch of different reasons. Everything from the way you look, you have a sensibility, there's a darkness about you, or there's an intensity. And it's something you enjoy too. Even going back to some of the earlier stuff I did in Sweden, transformation has always been very appealing to me, and playing characters that are very different than me. I played a character that was autistic when I was 19, and I loved it. I had so much joy in it. He's not a dark character, he's a very sweet character, but you study and you change your voice. With Pennywise, that became my ultimate transformation. I just really enjoyed it. Now with Orlok, I really enjoy transforming as much as I humanly can. I think that's very exciting. Do you feel a curiosity about the more dangerous side of human nature? The darker characters also tend to be more complex, more mental gymnastics are needed. Again with Orlok, it's like, okay, if it's an ancient sorcerer that speaks from a different realm and possesses all this power and knowledge, what makes power and knowledge ultimately corrupt the soul, as opposed to creating a messiah? Do you ever worry about getting typecast? I definitely don't want to exclusively play these kind of roles, but I've never seen the appeal of the classic star, a movie star. The difference between a movie star and an actor is that a movie star plays himself in every part, in a way, whereas as an actor transforms, there are people that play themselves, and they're brilliant every single time, but it's the same thing, and they have that shtick. For me, I just don't think that I'm charismatic or interesting, so I can't just lean on that. I need to transform as far away from me as possible. Do you feel a kinship with actors from the past, like, say, Lon Chaney or Boris Karloff, who played dark beings and often transformed their regular appearances? It's a great question. Yeah, I do. But that being said, it was never my particular goal to be a creature actor, if you will. There are so many actors I draw inspiration from. A lot of other actors that are not known for their intense transformations are some of my favourites as well. I haven't really studied the greats of prosthetics or creature performances in that way. I've watched a lot of it, but I don't watch performances for inspiration per se. That's because there's always this thing of emulation that I don't want to go down. For Orlok, predatory animals felt like a cleaner source of inspiration. You mentioned earlier that several times now you've played a character that is well known from a previous iteration, but you did it in a new and different way. Did you feel that again with Nosferatu? Orlok is also Dracula. To me, in terms of iconic horror characters, the number one is Dracula / Nosferatu. It's about the most seminal work of literature in gothic horror for sure. I think it's been adapted more than probably any other book. The story is so ingrained in our subconscious, it's very daunting to step into it. I was a huge fan of Eggers before. He and I would have these things like what are we doing? Why are we doing Nosferatu? Are we taking on something too big here? We felt that kind of pressure of fucking with the masterpiece. But the movie deserves its place as a new interpretation. What's on the horizon for you next? I've always cherished the idea of being as versatile as I possibly can. I also want to do a kitchen sink drama. I want to do a dark, fucked up comedy. I want to make those choices or advocate for those choices. You have to fight against being typecast or put into a box. The more you fight against it, the bigger the box tends to get. And that is it. So did they edit out his apology for the Crowlian? Be nice if he actually apologized for that. But there you go. I like Skarsgård. He does put a lot of effort into his roles, and he does bring something to it. Like at times he is unrecognizable, and that's cool. And he's very diplomatic there about certain actors being typecast and stuff, so he doesn't want to be your typical one-note wonder. And that's fair enough. I can appreciate that. But anyway, there you go. Do you think this is going to be a good film? I trust Eggers, and if he's directing Skarsgård, then I think we've got a chance. And so far from the shots, it's looking good. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, let me know what you think. And until next time, keep updated with the channel, do the type of clicky things, and remember to keep it creepy, keep it horrific.